What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to this Monday edition of the Dream Stream here at FTNDaily.com. My name is Zach Graham, aka Kawhisenberg DFS. Here to talk some NBA with my good buddy, my partner in Dream Streaming, and the biggest Cavs fan I know. It's Adam Pfeifer. Adam, how you doing?
Good. Cavs now have two All-Stars, which is pretty cool. The Super Bowl was yesterday, and it was a close game. I thought there was like four exciting plays, so it was kind of boring, but at the same time it wasn't. But last week of basketball before the All-Star break, and I don't exactly know what I'm going to do during that week. I think it's Friday to Thursday or something.
Yep. Yeah, no hoops that count. Right. For that 6-day stretch. And it's always it feels kind of nice, whether you're on this side of the camera, right, touting plays, whether you're just playing. It always feels nice the first couple of days because you've got the All-Star festivities to look forward to. You don't really have to grind the DFS slates. You play some All-Star game stuff for fun. And then, man, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday stretch, that's where you really the real degens go play some hockey, things like that. I know we'll have people dabbling in esports, and
especially now because not that it would be on anyway, but we're supposed to be at the point where baseball's ramping up, and you can't even get excited about that right now. So it's it's gonna be weird, especially because right around the end of football regular season is when I really start to really fall back in love with basketball, and not having it for 6 days is going to be weird.
Yeah, man. I know for me, and you and I have talked about this off camera, I'm excited to get away for a couple days. I'm going to go skiing this weekend. Of course, tune into the game Sunday night. And I see people, shout out the lovely Annabelle for getting me that sign in the background for Valentine's Day. Very cool. Creative gift there. Irish Rogue chiming in saying she's going to go DJ some golf this week. So another good option there. You get a little 4-day sweat, right? Hope to get your 6 of 6s across the cut line there. All right, man. What do you say we get into some of these games? I know we're following up David and Javi doing the best game-by-game breakdown in the business, as they always do. So we can talk ranks a little bit. We can talk Kyle's ownership projections, which I need to refresh and make sure I've got the freshest Kyle Murray data here. And everybody, before we jump in, if you're catching us on YouTube, go ahead, hit the like button on that stream. Almost 40 of you watching right now. We're still in the single digits for likes. So go ahead, hit that like button, and we will jump into the slate. Adam, obviously, like I said, I think those guys, as they always do, did a great job going game by game. So I kind of thought we could start out the show by talking about either the spend ups, because I think there's a pretty lengthy conversation to be had in terms of prioritizing who we're going to spend up on tonight. And then talk about kind of the floor values, the Quentin Grimes, the Jordan Nworas, et cetera, because I think those are the two places where we're really going to be able to separate ourselves from the field if we can really lock in on our priorities there. So I guess I'll kick it to you. Either take me to the spend ups or take me all the way to the bargain basement.
Yeah, I guess it's depending how you're defining spend ups, because you obviously have Jokic on the slate. It doesn't look like we're going to have Giannis, who's doubtful. But first looking at the slate, I looked at this as a real, and I guess it was after the Giannis news. It became a slate where I really think it's a really nice kind of balanced lineup build. But it also depends on where you have some of these players ranked in terms of if they're truly spend ups or not. Vucevic at 9,800, I guess he would be a spend up. But yeah, Jokic obviously has to stand out as a top option, followed by this player from the San Antonio Spurs. His name is Dejante Murray. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he is playing unbelievable basketball right now. But that's where we're at. He's 11K on DraftKings, and it's that makes sense because he's not only is he flirting with triple doubles or posting triple doubles every game, but he's also now all of a sudden 30-point triple doubles since Derek White's been out. So I think it's pretty clear Jokic and Dejante Murray are the two top spend ups, followed by in my opinion, both Chicago players with Zach LaVine still out.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you. And talking about those Chicago players, I guess we can start there since those two guys are priced close together. I believe the Bulls, the second highest team total on this slate, but 234 implied total in this game. The Bulls hosting the Spurs. I think for me, Adam, I would much rather get to DeMar. I know you're paying up a little bit of a premium there, 10-2 for DeMar, power forward only. Vooch, of course, center only 9-8. But just in terms of the matchup, I would rather get to DeMar, who's on a very impressive streak of 30-plus real point games. What is it now? 6 games in a row of 31 or more.
35 and 4 straight or something, I think.
5 straight, it looks like.
5 straight now,
he's been fantastic and really carrying this team. 3-game win streak right now for the Bulls. Only a game back of your Cavs in the East. They continue to just impress me with their perseverance in what has become just by far the most, or not the most, the more talented conference, top to bottom. The fact that they're able to scratch and claw their way and remain at the top of this East race right now with your Cavs is really impressive. And
geez, Dell said DeRozan's point prop was at 31.5.
Yep.
We're at a point where that seems so low.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's wild. I mean, his points projection, if you just sort by projected points on Kyle's stats, like he's a good jump over everybody else on this slate. And the slate is not devoid of spend ups. But you mentioned Dejante and Jokic as kind of the two best spend ups in terms of raw points on the slate, and so no hot takes at the top of the ranks. Both of those guys getting 10s for me. I think it's easy enough, certainly to fit one in any lineup on DraftKings tonight. But I think you can't, like, especially if certain news or starting lineups break a certain way, we could probably roster both of those guys. So I would prefer to get to Jokic or Dejante over the two Chicago studs, but no issue getting to those Chicago studs. I guess I'm speaking a little bit out of turn here. I would shy away from Vooch in this matchup. It's only a 1-game sample, but he struggled. Man.
We might have a lunch bet because I love Vooch. I know matchup. I know the matchup on paper.
Yeah,
with Pirtle looks bad, but you can talk about it first. I guess we'll have a lunch bet then because I love Vooch.
For me, it's the matchup is too tough to prioritize him in any sort of MME build or in like a single entry. He's not going to be one of the studs that I would get in there. There's also other options at center. Like we talked about Jokic, obviously, but you've got a price coming down on a guy like Jonas Valanciunas. You've got Jakob Poeltl in that same game. Bobby Portis with, a doubtful Giannis. He's not going through his pregame warm-up, hasn't been ruled out yet, but I think we all are planning for the Bucks to be without the reigning Finals MVP. We'll talk Andre Drummond and the new look Brooklyn Nets here in a little bit. So just all that to say this, it's tough for me to prioritize Vooch, but I'm certainly not going to call anybody crazy for rostering him. How do you feel about like 12-2 for Jokic? With Giannis off this slate, he's really in a price tier of his own. He's $1,200 more expensive than Dejante Murray, $1,800 more expensive than Steph Curry, and what's not the world's worst matchup against the Clippers. So I guess if you had to choose one, we talked about Dejante Murray. I know those guys in the previous stream talked about how great he's been from a statistical standpoint, both like real life hoops. Like the Spurs won their last 2 games, man. And you know how I feel about that. But I guess I'll say this or ask you this, Adam. If you could only roster one, would you go Jokic or would you go Dejante?
Probably Jokic, but it's close. Like Dejante Murray's potential assists have been like absurd. The last, it's like Chris Paul type level. But for me, Jokic against Orlando, who have been a bottom 5 post defense this season, I just think Jokic is still a little bit safer. But again, like with how good Murray's been, there is still a decent savings. But I would still lean Jokic. And yeah, Dejante Murray might have to start getting like, do we start seeing like SGA minutes and rest situations from last year for the Thunder if he keeps winning games for the Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, that thought has definitely crossed my mind. I hope it's not a full shutdown for him, but we'll have to see,
No.
man. It doesn't seem like the Spurs are the kind of organization that will do that. But like, if he picks up a little knock, like I think they're probably going to milk that
Right.
for all it's worth, right? And that'll happen with any of those guys, you know, what you would call their core now. But you know, I think that's really enough.
I mean, we saw it with Cade Cunningham. He missed 5 games with the hip injury. He like I don't know the injury, but like it clearly wasn't serious enough to keep him out for a week. So like,
right.
I'm sure if that was a team that was in contention and it wasn't the number 1 draft pick, and I think it's similar situations. So a lot of those teams, I agree. Like if it's some sort of injury, they'll probably just say, "Oh, well, you can sit out a game, maybe 2."
So we did just get some Knicks news here. Mitch Robinson available to play along with Cam Reddish and Nerlens Noel. I know that news came about 20 minutes ago. Nerlens Noel is out.
Does Tom Thibodeau know Reddish is available to play?
Yeah, God, man. Don't get me started on Tibbs. I mean, the fact that we're already here, like they were just starting to play a little bit better basketball, and then he leaves RJ Barrett out there in a 25-point loss in the last minute and gets injured. Like, I don't know, man. I was listening to some guys talk about like year 2 Tibbs is like just where he wears out his welcome. Chicago, Minnesota, now New York. Like, I don't know. That's a discussion probably for the FTN NBA podcast. So maybe we can talk some Tibbs tomorrow night. Let's jump down to kind of the bargain bin here. And I will, before we do, we'll get to these. I see the 2v2s. We'll talk about that after we talk some value real quick here at the top. But G Coop asking if we're getting super draft ranks today. No super draft ranks going forward, but we will update you guys. The ranks are evolving a little bit here. So just DraftKings for today, and we'll keep you guys posted going forward. As Tommy, noted Knicks fan, says in all caps, "I hate Tibbs." Yeah, and I do not I do not envy that position that you're in as a Knicks fan there, Tommy. So Adam, as we jump down kind of to the bottom, we mentioned off the top Jordan Nwora, Quentin Grimes, kind of the 2, I think, value plays du jour on this slate right now, popping up in a lot of optimizers around the industry. There's a couple other guys that I want to bring into the conversation, not necessarily min price plays, but let's start with those 2 guys. I prefer Jordan Nwora tonight, but how are you breaking down those 2 3K plays?
Yeah, so I prefer Grimes only because do we know if Serge Ibaka's playing today?
I haven't seen anything definitive.
Because obviously, like, he can play power forward. But,
Sure.
like, at the end of the day, it's not just Giannis most likely being out. We know Pat Connaughton's out and
Yes.
Dante DiVincenzo's in Sacramento. So, like, that's overlooked on top of the Giannis news. And at minimum salary, like, he only has to play 20 to 22 minutes. It's not like he has to play 28 minutes. I just think Grimes with Barrett and Rose out, and we already know Tibbs doesn't want to play Kemba massive minutes, and we also know he doesn't want to play Reddish massive minutes. I still think Grimes is safer in terms of projection for minutes, but like just because he's coming off that awesome game, even at 3K doesn't mean Quentin Grimes is like an absolute like, you know, free square like Javi was saying on the last show. Like he had 12 and a half or 12 and a quarter or something like that the game prior. Now I'm just going to chase the minutes at minimum salary. I don't really care, but like I'm just leaning Grimes because of the minutes and because yes, you know, Reddish is available to play and they have Walker, but they haven't wanted to play Kemba unless they've had to. So
Yeah.
And Grimes defensively gives them more than Kemba, which is why Kemba has been playing a lot this year. So I'm leaning Grimes, but it's closer, and I do think Ibaka's, you know, potential presence has an impact, but it's not going to just take me off Jordan Nwora.
Yeah, so for me, I think Quentin Grimes. We did get a kind of timely question here from Zahn in the chat saying, "Is the Grimes play, you know, get ticked down a little bit with Cam Reddish back?" I believe Reddish played in the last game; he was fully available. So I think
that was the Portland game, right?
Yeah, and
yeah, he played 14 minutes, which is like what he's been playing if he's even played for them,
which is ridiculous, especially with RJ out. What are we doing, Tibbs? I mean, I do like Quentin Grimes as a player, as a young player so far, because if you watch him play, like he lets the game come to him. He has really good shot selection, and it's helped him carve out a role on this team. Like a guy who's getting minutes even when the starters are all healthy for New York. So he's fine, but you mentioned the volatility with his fantasy points, and not just over the last 2 games, but really on the season. Like, this guy plays, Javonte Green will play. I believe that was expected. Quentin Grimes, a little bit over 17 minutes per game in his 36 appearances this year, but just 12.4 DK points per game across those 36. So I think we kind of saw the ceiling last game, 37 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 5 made threes, picked up some peripherals as well, something that Quentin Grimes is not known for. To get to a score where he's going to end up optimal tonight, or somebody that you absolutely have to have at the ownership, I think he needs 16 or more real points, even at this price, to beat out some of the other values that we're going to have on the slate. So last I checked, Adam, let me refresh Kyle's projections here just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And now I see in Kyle's projections, Wara is about 0.8% projected over Quentin Grimes, but I'll gladly, like this, if I was running my 20 tonight, Adam, I would gladly double the field on Jordan Wara, and I would probably come a little bit under in my MME build on Quentin Grimes. I certainly think you can stack the two, and that's kind of how I think you would start a lineup, trying to get maybe a Jokic Dejante pairing in there or something like that. But I see 36% on Quentin Grimes, and I don't want to really be at that number in tournaments. So he ends up being cashier for me. Still gets a 9 rank because obviously the upside is there. The minutes are most likely going to be there, and he's min price. Giannis officially ruled out here. But let's bring in some of the other value plays. Let's head to OKC.
I was going to say OKC and Washington stand out. Still.
And those are the 2 teams I'm going to. So nice. Why don't you talk to me about OKC? Because that's the other side of this Knicks game.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on, Triple H asks if Grimes is a full fade on FanDuel at 5,300. I would say most likely. It's a little tough at 5,300. But yeah, Washington still obviously depleted. No Porzingis, no Gafford. Obviously, Beal's not coming back this season. You look at this team. Howell Neto's been starting at point guard the last 2 games. He's 4,400, which I think he'll give you a decent floor. I think in tournaments you can take a shot on Ish Smith too. Played really well off the bench last game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he closed this game if he's playing well. They're familiar with him. He's been around. He could even start. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think he will, but I like taking a shot on Ish Smith at 3,900. And then there's Corey Kissberg, who's playing massive minutes right now, coming off an awesome game. He's just 4,100, playing again massive minutes. So I think Neto, Ish Smith, Kissberg, all viables. KCP is still viable as well. The only thing that's a little bit head scratching is even with Porzingis and Gafford out, Thomas Bryant is still not playing more than 22 minutes, and now he's up to 4,500, which isn't an egregious price tag to where you can't go to him. But Rui Hachimura is playing minutes at center. They clearly don't want to play Thomas Bryant more than 20 to 23 minutes. So. I think Washington still stands out with some of those guards I mentioned as value plays that could get overlooked. And look, Detroit, great matchup, so I'm getting to some Washington on this slate too.
Yeah, man. I think for talking about all the Washington values, we can't forget Kyle Kuzma, even at the 8.6 price tag.
Mm-hmm.
The matchup is nice. He projects for mid 40s in DK points for me. I think upside of 50, we've seen that multiple times this season. So I wouldn't want anybody to forget about Kuz there, but pretty much in lockstep with you on all those Wizards guys. I think the only one that's going to get significant minutes tonight that I wouldn't have interest in is Anthony Gill.
Right.
If we ever have interest in Anthony Gill, that slate that's an interesting slate if that ever comes to pass. I like the Ish call. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I do think that's an interesting pivot off Neto. To me, it's going to come down. I've seen projections of those guys splitting the 48 point guard minutes. I've seen projections 28 to 20 in favor of Neto, and so I think it just depends on where.
Yeah.
If
you told me they were going to split right down the middle, 24 each, I would love Ish Smith.
Yeah, I would take Ish then as well. I think I lean more towards 26 to 28 for Neto and Ish picking up the rest. And it certainly doesn't put Ish out of play because we know what he can do in 20 to 22 minutes. But Neto also looking very solid to me. My favorite places to attack Washington from a value perspective, though, Adam, are two guys that I don't think are going to start in Deni Avdija and Rui Hachimura. I think Denny's going to be good for 28 to 30 minutes here at 4-4, or 4-2, excuse me, guard forward eligible. That's a pretty versatile piece of value that I want to have in my lineups. And I think Rui's, at 4K with the time that he's going to get, can get on top of that number. And I think the field is going to go more towards those guards that we talked about first. And of course, Corey Kissberg kind of sandwiched in between those forwards. He's certainly a guy that you can get to. We saw his upside last game, right? With the 20 real points. Like, I know he's 1,100 more, but like Kissberg to me is like upgraded Quentin Grimes in terms of how good I feel about rostering him and knowing that he's likely not going to kill me. I think that 18 fantasy point performance we saw against Brooklyn is kind of Kissberg's floor in this situation. And he shot 2 of 13 in that game. And is Corey Kissberg the best shooter in the league? No, he's not even the best shooter on his team. But, if we're beat on the Corey Kissberg play by a 2 for 13 performance, like I'm fine. That's just unfortunate variance there with his shooting. I'm looking at 16, 13, 15 shots for Kissberg. And now that he's 4-1, I think he could go a little bit overlooked. So I think I would go Avdija, Hachimura, Kissberg as my 3 favorite pieces of value from Washington. But I want to touch a little bit more on OKC, and then we'll get to some of these questions that are stacking up here. Ty Jerome, Adam, is one of my favorite value plays on the slate.
Regardless of if he starts?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
because
fair.
he has, let me pull it up. So I believe he's first, but he could be second. If you take Shea and Dort off the court this year, Ty Jerome is second in minutes on the Thunder, only behind Kenrich Williams. And that's the full season. If you take only the 2 games that Dort and SGA have not played 2 full games this season, he's still second just behind Josh Giddey with 28 minutes per game in those. So at 3-2, Ty Jerome's a guy that I want to have.
Pivot off Grimes.
Exactly. And you can play them both, but he's somebody that, especially in an MME build, I would be mixing in a ton. Only projecting for about 18.5% ownership on DraftKings right now, and projecting for 24 DK. So that's 7.5x on his price there. And if he's going to be 2.5 times less owned than Nora and Grimes, he's somebody that I would certainly be getting over the field on in tournaments. And I would have interest in, like you said, pivoting off Grimes to Jerome if I was running a single entry. So that's really, I was saying OKC. That's really my priority target from that team. Can't get to Giddey. Like if you wanted to get to Basley, he's been fantastic, and the minutes seem to be kind of sticking where they are. But 6'4" now, so he's just somebody that would make my pool, and however much I got of him, it wouldn't be much. I would probably just roll out there. And then it's like, if you want a Kenrich Williams, Trey Mann, Poku, Derek Favors, if he starts again, those guys are fine to play, but none of them priorities for me, and I don't think I would have shares if I ran 20 lineups. It's pretty much Jerome interest or bust for me. Like OKC, and I know David and Javi touched on this, OKC not even breaking 100 points with their implied team total today. It's just it's not a team we need a ton of exposure to, in my eyes, outside of Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
Charge Up was asking 2v2 here, Dejante Murray and my best friend Marcus Morris, or Steph Curry and Josh Hart.
I feel like Curry I believe he's over 10K, I believe.
Yeah, 10-4, I believe.
Yeah, 10-4. With Clay playing 30 minutes now and finding his rhythm in the last couple games, taking more shots, makes it very easy for me to just get up to Dejante. And I know that Josh Hart projects better than Morris, but I want the Murray side still.
Yeah, it's the Murray side, and not super close for me. Like, could Steph and Hart be the prevailing pairing there at the end of the night? Absolutely. But for the main reason that you talked about is just Steph's ceiling night to night is lower with Clay back and getting back to what we know as career normal minutes. Still got a little bit of ways to go till he gets to that 33, 34 number, but 30 minutes of Clay definitely having a negative effect on Steph's ceiling over the last 10 days or so. So it's the first side for me. Kruger's in here saying Denny Avdia and Gary Trent, or Justice Winslow and Patty Mills.
Brooklyn. We should probably talk about Brooklyn too. There's been a lot of discussion and questions about Brooklyn. I'll lean the Trent side.
Yeah, I'm also on that first side. Kruger's Romulus asking a 3v3 here. Kuzma, Vooch, and Io, or Dejante, Mills, and Drew. It's the second side for me.
Yeah, I love Vooch, but it's the second side. Dejante and Drew set up so well. So let's talk about Vooch first.
Sure.
The reason I like him, so Pirtle is an individual, really strong defender, but looking at some of the numbers, so looking at the advanced player stats on NBA.com, and it's not all set in stone because it's not the most telling stat, but it's just a bunch of stuff I just pulled together. The San Antonio Spurs are allowing this season the, I believe, second most points at 9.5, and the fourth worst field goal percentage at 56% to opposing roll men out of the pick and roll. Vucevic leads the NBA in points per game as the roll man, and then individually, Jakob Poeltl is allowing the most points per game as a defender out of the pick and roll, and actually tied for the most with Vucevic. So I think it's a nice kind of like pairing you can put together and correlate. And I think, he didn't have an awful game the first time around, but he only took about 14 shots.
Yeah.
And with Levine out and Lonzo out, and like with Levine and Lonzo off the floor, almost a 29% usage, 1.3 fantasy points per minute, 33%. Like his rebounding has been out of this world lately. So I don't know what our lunch bet is going to be, and that's not even me saying like I actually like running it back with Poeltl if you want. I like Poeltl in this spot. But I like Vucevic, given the role he's had. The rebounding's been so safe. I believe the last 7 games he's been unbelievable. Yeah, 25.5 points, 13.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.3 blocks, and just over 52 fantasy points per game. So I'm still on Vooch. I get it, though. Poeltl is a good defender, but I don't know. I don't know what our lunch bet's going to be, but give me Vooch. We'll find something.
We got 30 minutes to figure out what we'll do there.
I thought that was interesting. No, we didn't remember what the bet was. Like we literally, right. And if anything, I think it would have been me owing you one. But I just thought that was interesting to point out that both Vucevic and Poeltl had the most points per game out of the pick and roll. So could be a nice game for both.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk Brooklyn. I believe that was the other team you said we should dive into, and I agree.
There's so much Andre Drummond discussion. Yeah. I kind of don't get it.
Why do you say that?
Not the discussion. Like, I have no interest in Drummond. I think there's just, like, it's not like it's a 4K Drummond with just Embiid out, right? Where it's like, okay, there's no other centers that are going to play. It's his first game with a new team. And I understand Aldridge and I believe Claxton are going to have their minutes monitored. But you still have Blake and Day'Ron Sharpe. Like, they have 4 or 5 centers that are going to play minutes in this game.
Sure.
And, like, if Drummond plays 25 minutes at 3,500 or 4K, yeah, smash play. If he plays 20 to 25 minutes at 5.5 when you have plenty of viables, you have Mitchell Robinson potentially now that he's active. You have Isaiah Stewart, who's actually been pretty good, and his minutes have been solidified. You have potentially Whiteside if no Gobert. That's where I'm at with Drummond. I get the appeal, but I think there's just it's not like they're shorthanded. There's just uncertainty with minutes. And in tournaments, I get it. Like he could go for 15 and 12 with 5 assists because he's facilitating really well this year too. But he's also been facilitating on a completely different team. And this Brooklyn team with no Durant and no Kyrie, like, do you expect him to get as many assists as he's been getting in Philadelphia? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but I have zero interest in Drummond.
Yeah, I think I'm not as down on the play. I want to see him start, obviously. I think
that'll change things a little bit if he starts for sure.
I think it's not somebody I would go to if he's off the bench at 5.5 for really all the reasons that you mentioned. And even in the start, all those front court pieces, his minutes probably are not going to be crazy tonight, but he doesn't need he's played Sacramento twice this year and just ripped through them fantasy-wise, 22 minutes a game across those 2 games, averaged 32 and a half DK points. I mean, we're all unless this is your first week in NBA DFS, you know what Andre Drummond can do in mid-20s and minutes. So I think that's why, I'm assuming here, Adam, that he gets the start. But it will be interesting to see. This is a 7:30 Eastern game, so that game doesn't tip for an hour. Only one game tipping off here at lock at 7, Detroit and Washington. And while we're on that, okay, check this out. We'll come back to the Nets. This is really interesting. First of all, the Wizards will start Neto, KCP, Kissberg, Kuzma, Bryant. So no surprises there, but Dwayne Casey and his pregame availability from our buddy Rod Beard, one of the most DFS-friendly beat writers in the league, says Dwayne Casey on Marvin Bagley. Do I ease him in? No. He's going into the fire. So let's shift. That game is at lock here in about 26 minutes.
I don't think we see the right?
Yeah, we don't see the Bagley start. I don't think. We'll find out.
Unless you move Grant down to the 3.
I mean, but okay, let's say, because we'll get that here in a minute. Let's say he comes off the bench. What's your interest level in 3-3 power forward eligible Marvin Bagley?
More than it was about 2 hours ago. I mean, the second unit for Detroit still has some high usage players, but Bagley's such a high usage player himself. So I don't know, 3-3 Bagley in 25 minutes. And I know that's the same position, but or 5-5 Drummond in 25 minutes. I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 25. You give me 25 minutes of Bagley. I will take that every day of the week. Man, right into the fire. Going into the fire. First of all, for a guy like Marvin Bagley, who played 30 plus minutes 2 years, right? I mean, I know it was on and off. He was injured multiple times, but it's not really into the fire, Dwayne, if it's off the bench. So that's what makes me think, are we going to see something crazy here, right before lock?
For what, where it's Grant at the 3?
Yeah, it could. It could. We will see. I guess we can come back to that when we get the lineup, but I did want to touch on that Rod Beard tweet.
Staying with that game, though, what do you think about Cade? He's very cheap, especially on FanDuel. I have term interest in Cade because of the matchup and the fact that his minutes have been down the last couple games. Hold
on. Sorry, dude. Did you see this Pistons tweet? Oh, okay, this is not a.
It's just the.
Gotcha. Don't do that to me, Pistons.
I saw it too, and then I realized it. I saw Kelly
guys.
Olynyk. I saw Kelly Olynyk saying they're starting Olynyk, Beef Stew, Bagley, and Grant. What are they doing?
Man.
Somebody, UNC said that's not a lineup, and Doug says not unless they can play 6. Maybe they let Detroit play 6 players from now on. But yeah, Cade,
yeah.
He's very cheap, and we've seen Cade at. He's got the upside to land in the optimal, especially on FanDuel. I think he's 6'5" or 6'6". DraftKings he's 7'4". Minutes were down last game in his first game back from the hip injury, but it was a blowout. If he gets back up to, he doesn't even have to play 35 or anything. I think I have some interest in Cade Cunningham, who will not be popular at all on this slate. I don't know. And I usually don't have a ton of interest in Cade. And it's even more or less so now in terms of how popular he's going to be because you have Grant back. Bagley, whether he starts or not, he's going to be on the floor at times with Cade. And Bagley, like I said, is a high usage player. But I just have a feeling about Cade in this spot. So,
well, that's why Cade got an 8 for me on DK. And he would be straddling the 8-9 line if I was doing a FanDuel rank at that 6.5 price tag today. It's purely an upside play, right? He's been out, limited minutes in his return last time, but we know the upside that he has any time out. You go back to January 30th, right? 59.5 DK points, second triple-double of his career. I believe it was his second. 5 nights before that, 2 games before that against Denver. I think this may have gone into overtime, but 69, which was a very nice score against Denver. Like for 7-4, like you mentioned, like he's too cheap for the upside that he has, and the matchup certainly doesn't scare you.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's somebody that I'd be mixing in. Now he's got shooting guard, small forward eligibility on DraftKings, which helps you fit him in.
Especially on this slate, because on DraftKings, some of the best point guard plays of the slate, Dejante Murray, Drew Holiday, I believe are all point guard only.
Correct.
Which is massive if you want to play Cade Cunningham in that spot, because like you said, you can put him at the 3, well not at the, but at whatever, at the small forward or the shooting guard. There's one other point guard I'm missing that I had in that kind of, not like same range, but just that are only point. We haven't talked about him yet either, but Ayo Dosunmu is point guard only as well, who I like a lot. So having Cade at shooting guard, small forward eligible is massive, especially on this slate.
Yeah. No doubt. One team we haven't touched on yet, like we talked about Giannis being out, we talked about Jordan Nwora, but how about kind of the main pieces that are left for Milwaukee? Drew, James Christian Middleton, Bobby Portis. Any of those guys catching your eye? Because I have significant interest in all 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And David asked Javi to rank them on the last show. Javi ranked them Drew, Bobby, and Middleton. I had the same exact answer. Anytime Giannis is out, I tend to just lean to whoever's cheaper between Drew and Middleton.
Sure. And
Drew is cheaper. And then Bobby Portis has already been playing really, really well this year. And then with Giannis, who's always inside the top like 10 or 15 among rebounding opportunities per game, Portis' rebounds have been up this year anyway. But now you take Giannis off the floor, like he could easily have 12, 13 rebounds in this game. He's still under 7K. He's been a high usage player. He also shoots threes. Like, Bobby Portis, to me, is one of the best players in the slate. Same with Drew Holiday. And although I have him ranked 3rd, I mean, Chris Middleton sets up extremely well. Also, he handles the ball more with Giannis off the floor. And then we talked about, like, at 4,600, Grayson Allen's fine. Again, still no Pat Connaughton. DiVincenzo's gone. So, you know, multiple players from Milwaukee stand out really well here. And the matchup against Portland's obviously great. And with Giannis out, maybe the game stays closer.
Yeah. I agree on all those players. I think so. The interesting thing to me is Chris Middleton here. I've seen, so like I'm looking at Kyle's ownership projections right now. He's got Middleton and Holiday projected within about 1.5 in terms of ownership percentage here, with Drew on top and 19% Drew. I think that number is going to be significantly higher. Again, I will put the caveat in. Kyle Murray is right more often than me on ownership projections. But I think I think Drew comes in a little bit higher, which gave me some interest in GPPs. Like if the rest of your lineup is extremely chalky, getting to Middleton over Holiday is an interesting pivot. You're spending up $600 more, very similar projection. And what I think is a very similar ceiling, although we haven't seen that ceiling with Giannis out from Middleton as much with Drew on this team as we did back in the Eric Bledsoe days of this Bucks roster. So I just don't want people to forget about Chris Middleton with all the love I've seen for Drew Holiday. All of that is for good reason. Yeah. And then I would break with you and Javi on. I would have Chris Middleton interest over Bobby Portis tonight. Not that Bobby is a bad play by any means, but I've been through too many slates with Giannis out and Chris Middleton having giant games.
Right.
And the last time Giannis was out on the 22nd of January, 52.5 DK there for Chris Middleton. Was going up, against the Kings, which certainly will help you, but 118.5 implied team total here for the Bucks going up against this Portland defense. I could certainly see Chris Middleton putting up a similar performance tonight and getting on top of whatever Drew's production ends up being. So that's how I would attack.
Dell asked if Ibaka would impact Portis. I don't think he would impact.
I know you mentioned Ibaka being able to play the 4. I actually think he would only play the 5 in this scenario.
Yeah, I don't think I think he can play the 4 with Giannis out if they wanted to keep Portis in. But I agree, if he's on the floor in this game, it would be the 5.
Yeah.
But I don't see it because they were playing Giannis at the 5 too. I just think Portis' minutes are pretty secure, and it's not like Ibaka's going to come in and play 25 minutes.
Right.
I don't know. And again, it's also not like Portis is like 7,500 or anything. I don't know. I don't have concerns about Portis still. I get it though.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to the chat here because I know there's a couple questions.
Yeah.
Backing up, Triple H asking, is 6,600 on FanDuel okay for Darius Bazley? I think okay is the perfect word for it. It's okay. Like, it doesn't get me excited, but I don't hate it either.
We got a Pistons lineup. It's the usual. It's Joseph, Cunningham, Bay, Grant, and Stewart.
And looks like Marvin Bagley's good to go. Yeah, Rod. He's good to go into the fire, apparently. And Necktat, James Johnson, available for the Nets, just to further convolute the front court minutes there.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on Brooklyn's front court. Have fun.
I mean, I think
if Drummond doesn't start.
If he starts, he's going to pull you back in, right?
I should have led with that. If Drummond starts, it's different, but I don't think he's a lock if he starts either, though. I don't think it's like play Andre Drummond no matter what.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, because I mean, he's going to have to guard Domantas Sabonis, which I don't know how well that's going to go for Andre Drummond. Kruger's was asking, can we play Vooch and Pirtle in the same lineup, or is that sort of counterintuitive? And if you can pair them, would you rather pair Dejante and Jakob Pirtle or Ayo and Jokic? I would not. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you can play them together because of the reasons I said, but you're also probably not playing Jokic, or we didn't even talk about Julius Randle, who I love in this on this slate. Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, Pirtle, I was on with Eddie on Saturday or Friday, mm-hmm. and he loved Pirtle. Got off to a great start, but he picked up 2 fouls early. Vucevic does not draw fouls, like, at all. So if you want to play Pirtle, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about Vucevic getting him into foul trouble, which is nice. Yeah,
I agree. I don't think, like, just from a roster construction standpoint, I don't think spending, what is it, like 16, 17K on pairing those two centers from that game, like, is where I would go. But it's not something I would set a rule against either. And if I was going to that 2v2, I think I'm going the Spurs side. I think I'm going Dejante and Pirtle over Ayo and Jokic. Ayo can just, like, and I know he's been great over the last month, really. Like, it's been
his assists with LaVine and Lonzo out have been really impressive.
Yeah. And it's a great matchup. Like, Spurs, like,
and he's playing 40 minutes.
Exactly.
Same with DeRozan, Vucevic, all playing 38 minutes if this game's close, which I think it will be because the Spurs are winning tonight. So,
God damn it, don't say that. Let's see. Thoughts on Justice Winslow. I think we can kind of talk about Portland as a whole here. Justice Winslow, for me, kind of like Bazley on FanDuel. He's just like, he's okay, right? Yeah. Like the mid 5K price tag there on DK. Point guard, small forward eligible. The minutes are really solid. When Justice Winslow gets minutes, he contributes in all 5 categories. We've seen the stocks be up and maybe a little bit elevated from what you can expect over the long haul, but it's not out of the question for Justice Winslow to put up a good score here. I think I would prefer to spend the extra 700 on Josh Hart, who got big minutes in the last game. And those are
didn't
really
even rebound pieces. Either.
Right. And elevated usage in that one game, obviously a small sample, but compared to what he was getting back in the Big Easy, Josh Hart, elevated opportunity in the debut for the Blazers. Those are really the 2 pieces from that team that I would have in my player pool. Not crazy to play Nurkic or Simons here, but I think I'm straying away from those spend ups. And if I want to get a run back here, when I have multiple Milwaukee guys, it would be Hart or Winslow for me. How do you look at the Blazers?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're playing multiple Milwaukee players, you don't necessarily have to run it back with Portland. Mm-hmm. But if that's the build and that's just the kind of the story you wanted to tell yourself, Simons has the ceiling. He's playing massive minutes right now. Mm-hmm. But I think anytime Josh Hart's kind of priced where he's at, the peripherals will be better, I think. And if he's seeing more usage, if this trend in higher usage continues, he'll be an even better fantasy contributor than he's been, with New Orleans and other teams. So I would probably lean Josh Hart.
Yeah, I am with you there. Cam, fresh off his 10K win.
Oh yeah,
I believe on
congrats for
Saturday,
that.
right? That was for you and Eddie on that stream, right?
Yeah, that was a
Um,
sick lineup. So congrats.
yeah, it was well overdue for Cam. One of the hardest workers that I've known for many years in this DFS space. So always good to see him get a win. Asking where are
Absolutely.
we with the run back in the Bucks game? Okay, so we just kind of Zahn let us in with the Winslow question, and Cam was asking about the Blazers too. So there you go, Cam. Shazam asking the cum bucket, Jonathan Kuminga, who will remain in the starting lineup tonight, or Grayson Allen, single entry on DK.
Um, that's close.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm leaning Grayson Allen.
Yeah, I mean, like the upside on Kuminga, I think, is what draws me to that play. They're going to
Yeah.
project really similarly, so I think
I
I
guess
would
it
slightly
is single
lean.
entry, huh?
I think I would slightly lean Kuminga because in single entry Shazam, I have
Yeah.
Jordan Wara as the first person I'm clicking into my
I
lineup.
overlooked single entry too. I like that call. Pop says Josh Richardson, and Romeo Langford will not play today. So Devin Vassell's price tag is up, but it makes me feel better about getting them at 5-2.
Yeah, that's gonna make me reassess some of the ranks on those Spurs guys because having I didn't have Langford for any time, but Josh Richardson to me was gonna get 20 to 22 minutes, and
Yeah,
now
because
that
I remember writing over the weekend when the Spurs last played, and I was looking at the player notes, and it said Richardson's expected to make his debut Monday. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'll probably be off the cell by then, and I was off him all day today, and now I think he's fine to get to.
Man, Herm coming in here, Dello coming in here saying that they're shaky on Wara and really want to go to Grimes. Boy, let's do a lunch bet on that. I will take Jordan Wara and his team leading minutes with Giannis and Pat C off the floor over Quentin Grimes and his hot shooting last game.
We still need our Vucevic bet too, by the way.
Yeah, God, we'll figure it out.
Should we do? Is there a player you like in comparison, or should we just do like a raw point total?
Let me look. Yeah, let me look at refresh Kyle's ownership here. Would you do Steph versus Vooch?
Yeah, I'll take Vooch.
Okay, I will take Steph.
All right,
We'll
here
do
comes
that. Kyle's
a
got him within a half point, so
here
I'll just
comes a
say
30-point Steph real point quarter now.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Clay's
Seven
was
made
last game,
threes.
so Steph's like, you know what, I can do that. All right, let's do it. It'll be fun.
Let's see. Anthony asking if we like Zubac tonight. I love the price, and I think with Ibaka out of town, the minutes floor is more solid. The matchup makes me a little bit nervous. Draymond being out definitely helps that you're going to have Kevon Looney out there for mid-20s in minutes. But the fact that this team can still go small, right? Run Nemanja Bjelica out there, guys like that at the 5.
I think they had Gary Payton at the 5 for a little bit last game.
Did they really?
It was
I
either
didn't see
Payton.
that.
It might not have been Payton. It might have been Kuminga because actually it was Kuminga because LeBron was playing the 5 for them a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so like I think Zubac is fine, and certainly on the I don't think we have a late slate tonight. Probably unless they did a 3-game late slate, it's probably just going to be a showdown. But
Did you write the Curry versus Vucevic down?
I
I'll write it
didn't.
down.
But
I'll write it down.
yeah, alrighty. Yeah, Zubac not like a standout play for me tonight, Anthony, but he would make my pool. P-Buck says he's not on stream, but he's on Yahoo. Io and Rui, or Kobe and Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann been playing really well the last 3 games.
Yeah, I actually have no problem with Terrence Mann, especially with now Norman Powell, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
I like Ayu over Kobe White. I like Mann over, who was it, Rui?
Yes. The second for me because Io and Kobe are so close, and I would much rather play
That's what I
Mann.
was getting at, because it's not like Ayu DeSumo was projecting for like 15 more points than Kobe White, so I like that.
Sure. Dello says, step into my office. We could do a lunch bet. Standard lunch bet, Dello, is $20. So since you're already in my office, we can go ahead and do this right now. Ricky asking, don't we think Giannis out makes this D much shakier? Running Wara and brother Giannis makes this. Yeah, but I don't think Thanasis is going to play a ton tonight. It's going to be Wara that's stepping into a lot of minutes. I think Ibaka gets in. I'm not worried about Thanasis. And it's still like tank Blazer squad here. Like even with Giannis out, I believe they're 11
Nobody
and a
told
half
them
point
that.
dogs here.
Nobody told
Yeah,
Portland they
sure.
were tanking.
Sure. Kruger's asking Gary Trent or Justice Winslow. It's Gary Trent for me.
Yeah.
Not sure he's listening. I know he deals with the children around lock time. Josh asking Superdraft. You trying to trick me, Josh? Josh and I continue our head-to-head series. He's actually up on me 3-2, asking Portis or Middleton. I would Middleton.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see. I need to revisit the Spurs ranks. Zon asking, are people sleeping on Sabonis and Fox tonight? Other side of that Brooklyn game.
I don't want to talk about Sabonis and Fox because on Stream Sunday, they were like my favorite plays of the slate. They got off to great starts and just did almost nothing. But you can't think like that. I think against Brooklyn, I think Fox is at, because the reason I loved Fox, he was like 7-7, but his touches per game since Halliburton's been traded and since he's been back, the last 3 games have been like 90 plus. I think probably, and I haven't looked at the Opto, but I think it's very possible people are sleeping on that because Sabonis is priced right around Siakam and Vucevic and Randle, and I think especially Randle and Vucevic will be more popular. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible they are.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I still prefer Randle and Vucevic, but
yeah, I think I would Sabonis over Vooch. Maybe that's our bet. I know we already made the Steph one, but like if I don't know. Maybe we got to let that happen organically because I feel like I would rather Sabonis now, but whatever.
And I would actually rather have Booch against Curry.
We'll keep it that way. I think both those guys are fine. They would both make my player pools, but they don't jump out to me as priorities that I would have in one or even really 3 lineups. I wouldn't be like making a point to make sure I had a Sabonis or a Fox there. Nick Nurse said they've been working with Thad Young in heavy classroom-like setting over the last couple of days to get him up to speed. You think Thad Young, 10-year NBA vet, somewhere around there, you think he needs a heavy classroom-like setting to get to know the Raptors and what they do? I don't know.
I don't know, but
most important thing about that quote from Lewenberg, or from Nurse, given to us by Josh Lewenberg, he's picking things up well, and I'd imagine you see him out there tonight. Is that going to hurt Pascal Siakam for you, or is it just kind of make all of those benched Raptor guys unplayable?
Right. I think it hurts Boucher and Precious more. It's interesting, too. Like, I feel like Joval against that undersized front court, a team that's bottom 5 in post points allowed, I think Joval is really interesting. He's obviously been just more of a floor play the last like month and a half. And now you have McCollum there with a high usage rate since joining the team. But I have some interest in Joval as well that we haven't talked about, but nowhere near as close to some of the other centers we discussed. Somebody asked Cam Thomas any interest. The Brooklyn wings and guards are interesting too because obviously Harden's not there anymore. Kyrie won't be able to play tonight. And you add Seth Curry. It's kind of interesting. Thomas has been so good though.
Yeah, man, I think like Seth Curry is the big piece for me there. It just got like at the price elevated, right? 5.7, I believe, for Cam Thomas on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I'd rather Seth Curry. Same positional eligibility, saving $300. More established player. I think somebody that they want to give.
It's just so tough to get to Cam Thomas when Io is 5'9" and Kobe White's 6K. Reggie Jackson, who like he just played 40 minutes last game. No Norman Powell. Bledsoe's obviously not there anymore. Like I don't think it's smart to project anyone from this team to play 40 minutes on a nightly basis, but I'd probably even prefer Reggie Jackson. Yeah. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah. I'm with you. Let's see. Pop saying you can't go to your team and ask them to lose. Says he understands fans want the high pick, but as a coach, you can't go into a locker room and tell your team to lose. Yeah, that's why you don't tank like that. You sit, guys. Hey, whatever. Lip service to the media. Good job, Pop. All right, everybody, 3 minutes and change here until we get to lock again. Only one game going off here at 7 p.m. Eastern, that being the Pistons and the Wizards. We have both lineups, no surprises from either of these two teams, and just kind of waiting to see how much play Marvin Bagley gets tonight. So as Dello says, he wants more Bagley.
I literally saw that as you finish your sentence.
Hey, go get some, Dello. I got no issue with throwing Bagley in there. I'm a little bit hesitant without him starting. Kelly O's still there, right? It just doesn't seem like a thing where he can come off the bench and get enough minutes to really.
Not to mention Isaiah Stewart's not playing 25 minutes anymore. It's 30, 31, 32 almost, which just adds to it.
I think it would be a little bit irresponsible, not that the Pistons really give a shit, but like to take Beef Stew's minutes down when he's been performing really well over the last 6 games. Averaging 10 and 12, almost a block and a half per game, shooting near 50% from the field. That could be better. But again, a young guy that they want to try to develop and really see what he's got. Similar thing with Bagley, but Isaiah Stewart, the more established guy there. Under 2 minutes now, so fire any last-second questions that you've got for us. And then we've got 2 games, Sacramento and Brooklyn, OKC and New York, going off at 7:30. Of course, we will be available in the Discord, reacting to any news, starting lineups, and any questions that you may have as we go. Here's Naj asking, Marcus Morris or Jeremy Grant on FanDuel?
Jeremy Grant has been so bad.
He has.
It's been so frustrating.
Yeah. It's Marcus Morris for me. I think those Clippers guys going to get, as long as that game remains competitive, and the Warriors only 6-point favorites here.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, it's a little low, but then again, like Los Angeles has been playing good despite the injuries and everything, and they're at home, so
yeah, it's Marcus Morris for me. You're also pushing your salary back then and not locking in Jeremy Grant here in the first game. Let's see. Charge and Dello going to go in on some Bagley here. I don't hate it. You guys know how heavy I am on Wara tonight. And I would still prefer Ty Jerome as well to Marvin Bagley. I would Bagley over Grimes, though. You really are off Grimes, huh? If he's going to be 40% owned,
I get it.
It just seems like an easy fade. And I know David was on the same or in the same boat earlier. Like, we're still getting Grimes 36% owned here in Kyle's projections. And Bagley, it's going to be a little higher than 1%. But I don't think he gets to double digits here. Do you?
Bagley? No way.
Yeah, so I would much rather take the shot on Bagley. They're power forward eligible. Oh, the Nets, we are at lock. The Nets say they didn't trade. James Johnson is available to play tonight. Thanks for the late update there, Mark Stein. I'm a Mark Stein fan. Mark Stein's great. Dello, I'm not at fault if Bagley fails. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
We all are. And whatever Bagley you got, he's locked in because we're at lock right then. Okay, Adam. At lock, Mills, Curry, Bruce Brown, Kessler Edwards, Andre.
Jesus.
So, Drummond starts.
Dello in all caps. Drummond starts. No.
I have some elevated interest now, man. Like, we're going to see Claxton. We're going to see Aldridge. I think if I had to, as Jeremy Lamb is ruled out, Jeremy Lamb now on the Kings, for those still a little jumbled with all the trades that happened in the last 10 days.
Literally right at 7.
Yep, right at lock. So let's say before we jump into that, I do want to remind everybody who's still tuned in with us, if you're tuning in for free, I should say, come on over and join us at FTN Daily. You can get in for your first month, $49.99 for the NBA premium package, but you can use the promo code scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now, FTN TV. It's all one word, gets you 15% off your first month. You get access to the premium Discord channel. That's where we answer all the questions during the streams throughout the night and have some fun after dark as well. You get access to the optimizer, has late swap capability, Kyle Murray's player and ownership projections, all the tools here, your industry standards, and some of the unique ones here at FTN, the advanced DVP tool, game environment tool, etc. Got to join to see all those. You get access to Fast Eddie Fear and Mine's ranks every single day. $49.99, 15% off with that promo code FTNTV, all one word. When you get here, get in that Discord, tag Adam, tag myself. Let us know you're here because we would love to have you. So Adam, the Kings will counter with Fox, Holiday, Barnes, Harkless, and Sabonis at the 5. So we touched a little bit on the Sabonis-Drummond matchup and the issues that could cause for the new Brooklyn net down low. But Drummond getting the start at 5-5, this elevates your interest, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to. I still have a little bit of trepidation, but again, like I don't think it's a situation where he's a lock or anything. But obviously, you can't be like, you can't not react to that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get a solid 9 here in the ranks. I'm not going to put him up to a 10, really for the reasons that you mentioned. There's still a lot of volatility there with the matchup, with how many other bigs there are in this Brooklyn front court. I didn't even mention Day'Ron Sharpe a minute ago. But
like James Johnson being active is not nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. What do you think about, like, while we're here, Bruce Brown's 3-5. He's small power forward eligible and getting the start here. Is that somewhere you can go? He's going to be low owned.
I think you can. His minutes have been so sporadic this season and more often than not just flat out low. Mm-hmm. But him starting, yeah, you feel better about it for sure.
Let's see, get me a super draft question here. We'll let you in on this too, Adam. Would you go Jokic? You only got one center spot here. Would you go Jokic with no multiplier? Or would you go to Drummond with 1.65 multiplier there at the center spot? I'm still on Jokic.
Yeah,
I'm going to take my 60 and move on.
Yeah.
You're going to need, 30 to 35 DK, or not DK, super draft points from Drummond to even sniff Jokic's likely output tonight. Still Jokic for me. Would you Drummond or Aaron Gordon? It is Drummond for me. Now I don't have a ton of interest in Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, I agree.
Krugers, are you playing the revenge narrative here with AG? He's not somebody I've given much thought today after the initial pass. Didn't stand out to me, but I'd be interested to hear what the interest is there, or just he fits. All right, man, you want to take a look at some ownership and get out of here?
Let's do it.
Pulling up the ownership here in the DraftKings main GPP, $15. Oh, wait. I forgot they did the big $4.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that, man. That was my...
Drummond or Portis on DraftKings, we were just asked.
The $4 150 max.
I'm still Portis by a decent amount.
I don't know, man. Like, I would probably, I'm going to have, okay, like, if we're looking at one lineup here, if Brenton's running one lineup, and maybe you can tell us, Brenton, if you're doing multiple or what's going on here, but I'm going to have Wara in one lineup if I'm building. I'm most likely going to have Drew or Middleton. So I think if my choice is between Drummond and Portis, and I can really upgrade elsewhere with the extra $1,300 that I'm saving going down to Drummond, I'll go ahead and take starting Andre Drummond there over Bobby Portis just because I know the other Bucks that would be in my lineup. Yeah, he says one lineup. So that's what I would do, Brenton. But no issue. Portis a very solid play. Let's see, Doug. I bricked up when I saw it. Any news on Rudy? No. Okay. So Roman Empire chiming in here, and that is a name that I haven't seen in the NBA chat very much. So if
I think
you
he
are
sits. They have a game against Los Angeles on Wednesday, then the All-Star
Sure.
break. They could have brought he said 3 games ago that he was any day now and still hasn't played.
Sure.
I think he just sits. I could be wrong, but I think he just sits.
So here's my thing. I guess it's 2 things. Number one, I actually think it's the opposite, where because he's been out a while,
They give him a tune-up game.
Oh, okay, Doug, I get you. Yeah, oh man, I love playing those, Doug. I wish I could play. I think this is the game to bring him back.
That makes sense.
Because you should absolutely demolish this Rockets team, even without him. But it does. I don't think you have to play him a ton of minutes.
Play him in intervals.
Yeah. And he's not sitting out the All-Star game. So I don't think he's going to go cold into the All-Star game.
Is he playing the All-Star game at the same time though?
I think so.
No, is he playing?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you're right.
Is he actually out there or is he just walking around?
Yeah. And so the second point, though, why I think he plays is he went through shoot around this morning.
Yeah.
And somebody could correct me. Maybe he went through shoot around in one of the previous games or one of the recent games, the last game, and didn't play. But I don't recall getting that notification. So the fact that he and Eric Paschall went through shoot around, I think both of those guys will play tonight. All right. Adam, almost called you Kyle here, maybe giving away who's up top in the ownership.
Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma, number 1. You got an ownership guess on that? 8.6 on DK.
17.5.
Not bad. 19.5, right there. Okay. The highest owned player in this game by a wide margin, though, which is interesting. We'll shoot to you and miss here. Who's number 2?
Number 2 could be multiple players. Mm-hmm. I'm going to assume it's another Washington player. Washington did have the same starting 5, correct?
Yeah, it was Neto, KCP, Kissberg, Kuz, and Tom Bryant.
I will say Kissberg.
Kissberg, number 2. Well done. Got your guess?
9.
Yep, 9.8. Well done. Shoot till you miss. Now it gets fun.
Neto.
Neto, number 4.
Damn. Who's
I'll
3?
give you a second swing here. I'll give you a second swing at number 3.
It's not Bagley, is it?
It's Bagley.
What was he, 6, 7?
Yeah, it's not a ton of ownership, but 7% there for Bagley, 6.5 for Raul Neto. I mean, man, but to get I think I would be over on 6% Neto. I would be over on Bagley if I was running my 20, right? If I was playing tonight, I would have 50. There goes Adam. I would have at least 15% Bagley there. You're doubling the field. I would have more Kissberg than 10%. Tom Bryant at 5, KCP at 5, Ish at 4, Denny Avdia at 4, Rui at 2. Man, that's why I had good to see you back, buddy.
I refreshed by accident.
Did Eddie do that the other day?
He did. Somebody in chat asked him, what is your projection on one of the players? And he said, my projection is, and he refreshed. And it was really, the timing was perfect.
Man, but Adam, the ownership on some of these Wizards, we mentioned Neto at 6, Tom Bryant at 5, KCP 4.5, Ish at 4, Denny at 4, Rui at 2. These are all guys that I would be over the field on if I had an MME build, because even some of the guys that I didn't like a ton, like Tom Bryant, I would have more than 4.5% Tom Bryant in 20 lineups. I would have 2 shares at least.
Sure.
We talked about how much we had interest in getting to some of those value pieces.
What was Cade?
3%. Again, nice. So in 20 lineups, you got to play 1, and you're over the field with that 1 share. Yeah. All right, let's clear these questions out of chat, and then we'll get out of here for the evening, at least off the stream for the evening and into the Discord. Roman Empire asking any Hassan love. You can go there if Gobert is out, but I have Gobert in right now, and so I have no interest in Azubuike or Hassan Whiteside if Gobert is in. Anthony says he's got 100% Bagley. What can go wrong? And then here's a 3v3 from Naj on FanDuel. Patty Mills, Anthony Simons, Nikola Jokic, or Dejante Murray, Andrew Wiggins, Andre Drummond.
Say it again, please. I was reading Jake's question in chat.
Sure. Mills, Simons, Jokic. Other side, Murray, Wiggins, Drummond.
That's close.
Mm-hmm.
God, Drummond starting makes me almost want to lean the Murray side.
I do lean that second side. I see Kyle Murray says the first for him, but it's close though. It is close. I'm leaning to that second side, man. The Murray Drummond combo. I like Wiggins. In that third spot there. He's not. Let me answer in chat. He's not watching.
Jake asked about the potential assist stats and if Sabonis's are similar to where they were when he was in Indiana. I can get that for you.
That's
in
NBA.com, right?
Yeah, all these stats are on NBA.com. You go to player tracking, and it's a bunch of awesome stuff. So I would encourage everybody to check that out as well. But I can get that for you, Jake, if you want.
All right, everybody. We will. One more. Ricky getting in here. Under the wire, Indiana Jones style. Do we like Drum on FanDuel? 6K feels more and more like a trap. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think Drummond is probably ending up like my favorite FanDuel center if we had all the options in front of us, and we mostly do with only one game locked here. But like for the price, he projects pretty well. I think I would rather spend. And you can tell me what you think here, Adam. $800 more for J-Val. I would certainly rather spend $500 more there for Bobby Portis, but he's power forward eligible. If I'm just looking at center only guys, J-Val's the one that catches my eye as kind of the immediate pivot there. How would you treat that 6K for Drummond?
Yeah, I think I agree with your take. If you can get up to J-Val, I would rather do that. Again, Drummond starting makes him a lot more interesting, but I still, like I said, I still have a little bit of trepidation. So yeah,
and he's absolutely, like I said earlier, he's crushed this team in the time. It's like 44 or 45 minutes that he's played against them this year in 2 games.
Who's that, Drummond?
Yeah. Obviously, those 2 games with Philly, different situation, different team, but he has not struggled with that Sacramento front court. Maybe a different story here matching up against Sabonis, but we will see. With that, everybody, we will retire for the night. We will see you all in the Discord. On your way out, if you haven't, please hit that like button. Subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notified when any of the FTN shows go live. For Adam, I'm Zach. Shout out producer Thomas, the producer extraordinaire behind the glass. Although the thing with this is, Adam, as we transition to where I'm trying to do more of this kind of self-produced type thing, I have to vamp a little bit before I hit this. Good luck tonight, everybody. And as always,
let's get these beans.